All right, good afternoon and good morning, everyone. We're excited to host this webinar focused on apprenticeships and unlocking potential for you, your business, to launch some apprenticeships. As you know, just this year, this past legislative session, there have been a lot of monies made available to launching apprenticeships here in Nebraska. These programs are through the Department of Labor. And what we want to do today is focus on giving you the resources you need to begin accessing these funds. As with a lot of things like this, it's a first come, first served approach. So what we want to try to do is get everyone the tools they need to get after these funds. A bill was passed last year in the legislature allocating $10 million in federal funds for worker training programs. So that's going to be the point of the topic here today. And we're very lucky to have a couple of folks with us who are familiar with this approach. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Kim Andersen and Joe Cole. Kim, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Like Mike said, my name is Kim Andersen. I am the Apprenticeship Director at Northeast Community College. I've been working in the apprenticeship realm for about 3.5 years now. I started with Nebraska Department of Labor and did some apprenticeship work there. And then I came over to the higher education side of apprenticeships. So have a wealth of knowledge from kind of both sides of the fence to share with you today, and looking forward to getting into it. So, Joe.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Cole, and I am the VP of Administration for Graepel North America. We are a manufacturing company here in Omaha. I've been with the company for about 11 years now, and saw the company grow from 1 employee to where we're at now, which is over 50 employees. So I'm excited to discuss all of the HR features and apprenticeship aspects with everybody today. And we can start talking about my program here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, Joe, why don't you actually just start us off by taking us through what your experience was and any tips and tricks that you have for the group.
Perfect. Let me get my presentation up here. All right. Hopefully everybody can see this now.
We can, Joe. Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll just go ahead and get started here. So just wanted to tell you a little bit about our company. Obviously, each apprenticeship opportunity is different with every company, but just starting out, talking a little bit about our company. Our company, Graepel North America, is a sheet metal manufacturer, and we specialize in formed sheet metal components for industrial equipment. So we specialize in manufacturing that sheet material for a few different industries. We do a little bit on the agricultural side, construction side, as well as the automotive and rail car industries. So we make parts and components for various industrial equipment. And so you will see a lot of our parts primarily perforated metal, so metal with fine holes in that. And we are essentially manufacturing those parts here in Omaha. Our company itself is originally from Germany. It is a really old company, about 125 years plus old. And essentially we started doing manufacturing in Omaha in 2010. We came over, we had one person that came over for our company and built the company to where it is today. And we started doing that manufacturing in 2010. And we have a lot of new business, a lot of growth. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit as we go here. But as I said, we've grown from 1 employee to over 50 now. And we're essentially, continuing or planning to continue to grow in that way. Next thing I had was just a picture. This picture here is our groundbreaking ceremony that we had. Obviously, we have done more right than wrong over the last few years. We built the facility that I just showed in the previous slide in 2014. And now here we are in 2022, where we are doubling our production space. So we are undergoing that construction right now, which essentially over the years we've had the struggles that every company has with trying to find good trained individuals, which kind of led us into the apprenticeship program that I'm going to talk a little bit about right now. So a lot of people will ask, why an apprenticeship? And essentially, we made the decision here just over 3 years ago now to develop an apprenticeship program. And we're struggling just like every other company is as far as trying to find good qualified individuals. Our processes are very unique to our company. And so essentially, we can't find people just off the street that know how to do everything right from the start. Again, that's everyone's dream, but we have made the decision to develop an apprenticeship here in the US, primarily to, find people that we could, help grow into the positions and get them trained up to our standard and understanding our equipment, which is very unique, given the engineering and so forth that's involved with developing our parts. So we did create this program to develop and mold employees. And again, knowing our company, as I said, we are originally from Germany. So with that in mind, we have apprenticeship program apprenticeship program established in our German facilities that we have. And right now we have about 10% of our overall employees in the company in Germany, that are in an apprenticeship program at this time. And we are looking to, copy that with our apprentices here. We'd like to do that just given the need. And, that's essentially what we're looking to do as we grow. So our program is a little bit different than what a lot of the other, compared to what the Department of Labor has. We essentially copied the apprenticeship program that we have at our German facility. And with that apprenticeship, it's based on the German apprenticeship then, and that is associated in collaboration with the German Chamber of Commerce. And the program is actually, it's called ICAT, which stands for the Institute Consortium of Advanced Technical Training. And this program, as I said, developed through the German Chamber of Commerce out of Chicago, essentially, provides us with the structure, coursework, and exercises, as well as an international certification because it's based on the German standard there. But essentially, they do provide us with, that structure. And that was something that we really wanted to have here versus, any other program, just because we are a small, I'm a HR department of one, and essentially, developing this apprenticeship program on my own would have been very problematic. And that was something, I really wanted was, that course structure and the coursework, and ICAT provided us with that, which was very beneficial to us as a company. So essentially, Graepel provides the on-the-job training for our apprentices to get them used to, our everyday needs. So essentially, we're providing them the training, and at the same time, while they're getting the training here, we are actually sending them to Metro Community College to fulfill the coursework. So that's that's a little bit unique there. So essentially, what the apprentices are doing is they're working here 2 to 3 days a week, and then on those other days, we try to get all of their coursework all within those other 1 to 2 days while they are at Metro. So just to kind of talk a little bit or show a couple things. So we are partnered with Metro, and essentially ICAT is working with Metro as well as with us to get that coursework The South Campus is where a majority of our classes are taking place here in Omaha. And they just underwent a very extensive renovation in their machine tooling area. And I have a couple pictures there that from the last visit that I had there where, we have our apprentices working out of. So this picture over here on the left is, the new welding facility that they just built. We have a classroom picture here in the middle dealing with the CAD programming. And then on the other side, we have, the mills where they're actually doing the machining and so forth, which is unique to our program and that advanced technical or advanced technician position that we're working toward. So the Graepel apprenticeship program here, ICAP, is a 3-year program, so a little longer than some of the other programs they have out there. 3-year program, as I said, I got a little ahead of myself, but they are working at Graepel 2 to 3 days a week, and then the same going to college or at Metro the other days. As a company, we do pay 100% for the classroom training, so we pay for all of the books, all of the classroom. And also we pay for all of the benefits that are associated with a full-time position that we have here at Graepel. And then essentially, as they go through that program, essentially we are, we're working toward those certifications here. They get their Associates of Science, they get their Department of Labor certification, as well as the ICAD apprenticeship certification. One thing I didn't mention here, while these students are, at Metro during the week, we are paying them as well. So we pay them for a full 40-hour work week. The intention is, so, they go to class, they're getting paid, and we pay them that flat rate throughout the week, whether if they're here or if they're at Metro in their classes. Another factor with this, we do have the apprentices. They are assigned a trainer here who's responsible for on-the-job training and monitoring the progress of the student going through the program. As with every candidate that we have, there's always some unique things, whether maybe they're struggling with classes, maybe they need some additional help here. We have a trainer that essentially we have trained, again, that is through ICAT, and they provide that training for a trainer who can, essentially get up to speed, work with those students and make sure that they're up to speed as far as their day-to-day work. The apprentices are also required to maintain a journal, reporting each week what's going on, so that's not lost in the process. Just wanted to kind of show also some of our apprentice equipment that we bought. We did purchase this equipment for our apprentices to use. Again, this is unique to our program, and there are other ways that you can provide the training other than buying the equipment. And I can talk about those if people were interested in hearing about them. But essentially, we have a mill and a lathe here. So a mill in the corner over on this side, and then we have the lathe. And then this is actually a table in the middle here that we had our apprentices make. Excuse me. We had them actually, we bought those components and we actually had them manufacture the table here. So something unique that the apprentices will work on. If they don't like it, then they can change it. But essentially, you can have them do little projects in between. Looking here briefly at the coursework. So this is the course curriculum, the schedule that we have our apprentices going through. With that, they have the structure there. So all of this is unique to our program. Yeah, essentially, the coursework is not too heavy. That way they can still work here at Graepel at the same time go to school. So, anywhere between 9 and 13 credits is typically kind of that area that we're looking to have, people work and go to school at the same time. And ICAT did provide that, and they did work with Metro. So that's really where that structure really came in handy for us. So just kind of wanted to show just a little flow chart here, just kind of showing, obviously the opportunities. So you have your industrial manufacturing technician, you have your first year on the job training and then working at Metro, and then you have your second year doing the same thing. And then essentially after that third year, you have that apprenticeship or associate's degree completed. And then from there, during that time frame, we're working with those individuals, trying to see which areas they like to work in. Hopefully, while they're working here, they can kind of find a home, and we can work with them to get to that final goal of working on that machine or doing, whatever area or we want them to work in, really focusing on that. So after the 3-year program, then we can obviously do that permanent job placement, or maybe they decide that they want to go on for further education. Maybe they want additional welding courses, specializing in some of the welding that we didn't provide them coursework in. We could go that route, or maybe they want to go get their bachelor's degree or master's degree. We've done that with some of our staff as well, working with them on that. But each path is unique, and this program will allow you to kind of work those different routes. And it's been a success for us in that regard. Then the next big slide here, everyone always asks is, what about the cost? How much is the cost for the program? So I just kind of put it here black and white so people can see. So, at Metro, it is currently $68 per credit hour. You have the tuition and books. It's approximately $2,900 annually. There is a $3,000 ICAP fee that you have to pay annually as well if you utilize the ICAP program, which essentially brings you to that breakdown here. And that is, as of August, it is just under $18,000 for one of our apprentices to go through the program. So it is a little bit of sticker shock, I think, for some, but if you take into account the training and so forth involved with new employees, getting them up to speed, obviously, that can definitely add up. And one of the things too that we've seen from statistics as well is, there is a very high retention rate in the 90% area for individuals that go through an apprenticeship program, remaining with the company and so forth after that apprenticeship. That definitely gives them, 3 years of buy-in is the way that I look at it. And that pretty much concludes what I had. So I can go ahead and turn it back over to Mike.
Great. Thanks a lot, Joe. I think what we'll do is we'll have Kim go ahead and discuss her piece a bit, and then we'll open it up to questions for those who are on the call. I know we've had a couple technical difficulties getting some folks in. So what we'll do is we'll do a little recap here at the end, and we'll go through any Q&A then at that time. So Kim, I'll hand it over to you. Why don't you take it away?
All right, thank you. And thank you everyone again for attending. We're happy to have you here and learn more about the apprenticeship model. I'm going to back up for just a second in case there's anybody on this call who's like, oh, apprenticeship, I've heard of it, don't really know what it is. So I'm going to do a short little description of what an apprenticeship program is, just to make sure that everybody understands that. So what I like to say is apprenticeship is an intentional training program, and it's above and beyond a traditional internship. I think everybody understands what an internship is. You bring an individual in, they work on a project, or they're there for, a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, and then you may hire them on, maybe you don't. It's just kind of a good learning experience for the individual. With an apprenticeship program, it's intentional from the beginning for the business as well as the apprentice that this is meant to be a longer term workforce opportunity. So the individual comes to you and they're learning obviously in the classroom. That could take place a variety of ways, whether it's partnering with the community college or there's other options as well. So they're learning in the classroom. They're also working on the job with you, hopefully full-time, but I think we all have to realize that, while they're taking classes, maybe they're not putting in full-time hours, but once they would complete the program, they're putting in, they're treated as a full-time employee with you. So it's really meant to be, like I said, a longer-term workforce development strategy and it's an intentional training program. There is some classroom instruction, like I mentioned, but there's also some on-the-job learning that's expected of you as the employer to make sure that this individual is up to speed on all of the things that you do at your business. One thing I like to always point out is we at the community college, we would love to teach them anything and everything. But businesses, you have different processes, potentially different equipment that you're working with, different procedures. So some of that is best learned on the job because it's very specific to your business. We'll teach the foundation and the basics here at the community college. But then when they go on the job, they really learn what's specific to your business. And they also, as part of an apprenticeship program, the individual does get a one-on-one mentor at your facility. So that's something to think about, is you want to make sure that you select someone who's going to be a good advocate for your business, someone who's got a lot of experience and is really going to take that individual under their wing and help to grow them up within your company. And without a good mentor, it really could hurt your apprenticeship program overall. The other thing I will mention about the mentorship program is Northeast, as well as Central Community College, and Southeast is also looking at it as well. We're looking at developing a train the trainer mentor training, so we can help give you some tools and resources to get your mentors up to speed to be a good mentor to the apprentices. So that's my quick spiel on what an apprenticeship is, just in case anyone on the call is unfamiliar with what an apprenticeship program is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have here at Northeast, how we can partner with you, and what benefits that brings to you as an employer. So here at Northeast, we have been in the apprenticeship realm. We became a registered apprenticeship sponsor with the United States Department of Labor in July of 2021, so a little over a year ago. We've been working on some various apprenticeship pieces for almost 3 years now, but we did become registered about a year ago. So programs that we currently have developed, I have an IT help desk, so intro IT type positions, an accounting one. Again, that's intro type work for accounting. This is not full-blown CPA by any means, but intro accounting. I have a certified nursing assistant. I have an electrical mechanical technician, or like industrial maintenance. And then I also have a early child development program as well. And I list some of those to show that apprenticeships, people sometimes they hear the word apprenticeship and they instantly think plumbers, electricians, linemen, maybe some HVAC folks. And it doesn't have to be those occupations solely. It's really expanded. And according to United States Department of Labor, there's over 1,300 occupations that are apprenticeable. So it really spans the gamut. As you see, when I just kind of listed those off, it's not all of your traditional blue collar work. You can have white collar work as well. And the other thing I just want to kind of kibosh, I always feel like this is something I mention every single time I talk about apprenticeship, is that apprenticeship doesn't necessarily have to be tied to a union. People always think that apprenticeship means union. And I think that perception comes from the fact that the apprenticeship model grew up within the union environment, but it's no longer just used in the union environment. Other industries have seen how successful this type of a training model is. And so we're seeing it really across the board as a great way to upskill individuals into a new role at your company. Also mentioned, so a couple different programs that we're looking at creating. Some of them are further along than others. We're looking at a diesel technician, a chemical applicator, so in the fields applying the chemicals on the crops. I've had some interest from manufacturers on some CNC machining, so we're looking at something with that. Potentially drafting, I've heard some drafting as well. Oh, and then from the IT realm, potentially looking at programming, software development, things like that. So again, just to reiterate, it spans the gamut. It can really be almost any occupation you want it to be. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about what it means to partner with the community college and how that can help you as an employer. I want to say that, if you as an employer are interested in this apprenticeship model and you're just not sure where to begin, I want to make sure that you understand you are not alone. There are partners out there. The community college is just one option, but there's a lot of different partners out there that will help you to create your apprenticeship program. So reach out to the Nebraska Chamber, reach out to Nebraska Department of Labor, reach out to your local chambers. They may be able to help you. Your local community colleges. There's lots of people that are really trying to push this apprenticeship program forward. And so we're all here to help you and make sure that you have a successful program. So if you choose to work with a community college, so right now in the state of Nebraska, Northeast Community College, we have an established apprenticeship program, and I'm obviously the apprenticeship director, as I mentioned, of that program. At Central Community College, they have an established apprenticeship program as well, different occupations or different job types. And they have an apprenticeship director as well. So if you're in that area, I could get you the contact information for her. Southeast Community College is just starting to develop their apprenticeship office within the community college. So that'll be something that's coming. I know Mid Plains has also shown interest, so they'll be creating something in that realm, I believe, in the near future as well. And any of the others, if you're in an area with one of the other community colleges, please feel free. You can reach out and I can help connect you with a community college to help you. But really, as a community college, specifically Central and I, because we've been doing this for a little while, is that we have taken on the role of helping to develop the programs for you, and you get to partner with us and reap the benefits of being involved in an apprenticeship program. So what that means is when I hear several industry partners are telling me that they need a program for whatever occupation, I'll talk about diesel tech just because that's kind of been a hot one right now. I've had a lot of like farm co-ops, or I shouldn't say co-ops, like farm implement dealers who have come to me and said they really need more diesel technicians. How do we create this? Our current credit program for diesel technicians, it's maxed out. We need something different. How do we upskill our adult learners? So I pull together the various industry partners who are interested in a program like that, and we talk through what should the on-the-job learning look like? What should the classroom curriculum look like? And we tie it all together and call it an apprenticeship program. And together we partner with the employer to help recruit for that position as well. So it's truly a partnership in trying to find that right individual for the employer. And like I said, because Northeast Community College and Central already is as well, since we are registered apprenticeship sponsors with the United States Department of Labor, we can do all of the paperwork for you to get everything registered and set up with the United States Department of Labor. Like I said, we're going to work with you to determine what should that curriculum look like, both on the job and in the classroom. And we'll go through and actually register it with Department of Labor on your behalf. So with that, when you register with Department of Labor, when the apprentice completes the program, they do receive a nationally recognized credential showing that they completed the apprenticeship program for that occupation. It's different than like a traditional college degree of whatever sort, whether it's a diploma, associate's degree, etc. But what that credential shows is it proves the rigor that they have went through and that they truly are capable at doing whatever occupation that is. So it's a really big deal, an extra thing they can put on their resume. And, while I'm talking about that, I think the other thing that I want to mention is that I think it's important to think about this apprenticeship model potentially really heavily for your adult learners. These are the individuals that, for whatever reason, they're likely not going to go to school full time and do that traditional college pathway. Maybe they don't have the funds to do that. Maybe they don't have the time. They have a family to support. They need to work 40 hours a week plus, so they don't have the time and resources to go to school full time like a traditional college student. So with an apprenticeship program, we can make that opportunity available so that adult learner can change career paths. They can upskill themselves, and you can, instead of waiting 6 months to a year on trying to hire for that perfect person for that role, take the initiative to invest in someone that you know has the work ethic and some of those soft skills that you really want, and you know they have the aptitude for that area, and put them into an apprenticeship program and develop that perfect employee that you need, instead of waiting 6 to 9 months to try and find that perfect person. Sometimes it can work really well to take someone who's working more of an entry-level job for you and upskill them into that next level, and then backfill that entry level again. So that's where we really see this apprenticeship program working well, is those adult learners who need a different career pathway than the traditional college pathway. This is an opportunity. Also, for even your traditional college students that for whatever reason, they don't want to go to school, they don't have the funds to go to school, whatever the reason may be. Again, this is an alternate pathway to success. I do want to go back to the cost just a little bit. I know Joe shared some numbers on cost, so I just want to talk about that a little bit. So for our programs here at Northeast, they're going to range anywhere from roughly $2,000 to $6,000. It's going to depend on the program. So for example, our CNA is going to be the least expensive. With that, they're only taking 3 courses, and that's why the cost is so low. Some of our other programs are a little more intensive. There's a lot more time in the classroom, and so that drives up the cost. But as we're talking about costs, I want you to ask yourselves, if you already offer a hiring bonus, maybe you already offer tuition reimbursement, things that you're already doing, essentially you can just reallocate those funds to an apprenticeship program. So I don't want it to feel like this big, scary, oh my gosh, this is a lot of money that I as a business owner have to fork out and invest in these individuals. Likely most people are already investing, whether it's in a hiring bonus, tuition assistance, tuition reimbursement, whatever that looks like for you. So you can just reallocate those funds to an apprenticeship program. And at the end of the day, if you, for whatever reason at your business, are like, I truly don't have the funds to make it happen, there are a lot of funding opportunities out there. They mentioned through the ARPA funding, through Nebraska Department of Labor, there's some funding there that's first come, first serve you can apply for. If you partner with the community colleges, we received some grant funding recently that we can potentially help give you some incentive dollars to help offset the cost to get started. I know Nebraska Department of Labor has other programs like their worker training grants. Those could be used for apprenticeship programs. And there's typically other grants that are always out there that you can apply for. So don't feel like it's going to be a big burden for you as an employer to pay for this. There are some funding opportunities that are out there to help you if you don't have those funds yourself to kind of reallocate. And then the last thing I want to leave you with is just a couple stats, and Joe kind of touched on it earlier. I always love to throw out the retention rate. So Joe mentioned, so it's 94% retention, and that's 3 years post-program completion. So most of our programs are going to run at least a year, up to maybe 3 years. Again, depends on the occupation. CNA, as you can probably guess, that's a 1 year. That's a quick one. Child development is also a 1 year. But when you get into like electrical mechanical technician, that's a little longer. So if you're keeping them already 1 to 3 years, plus you have a 94% retention rate 3 years post completion, you're looking at, anywhere from 4 to 7 years. And if you've kept them that long, you're probably going to retain them longer term. So they always say, when you think about those costs again, it's cheaper to retain your staff than to go out and hire someone brand new right off the street. So just keep that in mind. There is a really high retention rate with these apprentices. Another thing I want to throw out is a return on investment. So according to United States Department of Labor, they're saying that the return on investment is $1.40 for every dollar that you invest in the program. So that's pretty good return on investment. And it really helps to engage some of your retirees potentially. When you're going to be losing all of this knowledge due to a retirement, that individual might be a great mentor to the new person who's coming in to backfill their position when they vacate it. This apprenticeship program would give you that structure to pass on that knowledge from that seniored individual who's getting ready to retire and to the new individual who's taking that over. So I'm going to stop there. And I think we're going to pass it over to Mike and start answering some questions.
Great, Kim. Thank you so much. And Joe, thank you as well. We've got one question in the chat. I'm actually going to start with one that I jotted down, and then we'll get to the chat. Joe, it's really directed at you. I'm curious. Obviously, workforce is number one for no matter your industry sector. You're in manufacturing. Capturing workforce is the biggest hurdle. As you go through this program, how did you and MCC engage in recruiting for the program that you built?
Mm-hmm. So the way that we do as far as on the recruiting side, the MCC program starts officially in September. So the way that we do the recruiting is, well, I mean, we can post the positions at Metro, which they have ways to do that. ICAT also will assist in the recruiting process. So the program itself, if they know that we're looking for 2 or 3 apprentices, they will assist. They'll send you some candidates, and then ultimately we post those positions as well. And then once we do find qualified candidates from our perspective, what we do is we do a temp to hire type of process. So ideally, we want them on the temp to hire process for about 3 months. That'll give us a chance to kind of see how they do, make sure that they're showing up to work every day, doing what they're supposed to do. And I mean, typically, after a couple of weeks, you can get a pretty good feel for how they are. And essentially, we're having them, do similar work to what they would be doing when they're here, rotating them around the facility and just making sure that it is a good fit for them. So kind of a combination of those things, because ultimately, once we have them, on board, we have them sign a contract with us for that time frame. Obviously, in those cases, if you have fallout or whatnot, it is an expensive process, and it's definitely something that's we're taking somewhat of a risk, and we want to be able to make sure that commitment is on both sides.
That's great. If you don't mind me asking, on that contract, is there liability on the sake of the new employee recruit to finish the program or to reimburse the company?
Yes. Yep. We have that. We have that in the contract itself.
Okay.
And then there is a commitment beyond those 3 years as well. Or it's our program, as I said before, is a 3-year program. So we essentially want them, on board with us for at least 2 years after that as well. Okay,
that's great. That's great. So if I could read into your response a little bit, whether I'm a manufacturer or not, if I'm a business looking to get into this apprenticeship development, what would you say my first step is? Is it to reach out to the community college and build a partnership there, Joe?
If you do the same program that we do with ICAT, the first step would be to contact ICAT and then let them know that they're interested. And then essentially with them, we work all 3 of us communicate pretty often, just to make sure that we got everything, that we're all on the same page and those things. But really, ICAT sets up that structure, which for us helped tremendously. I mean, if you're in this on your own, and you don't really know what direction you're going, I mean, that's really, we looked at that as an option way in the beginning, and that was, that's a little scary, and to just, all of a sudden you're, undergoing a completely different thing, trying to plan classes and all of that, seeing what's offered. It's just, it's really, I don't know, it's a little, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little bit intimidating to, look at that, in your everyday work, and all of a sudden you're faced with that. So ICAT really helped in that process.
That's great. I'm going to jump to the questions in the chat here. And this may, I wonder if ICAT would help with this, but this question's from John. Are the credentials transferable to different sectors of the industry, or are they limited to the sponsor company that helped develop the program? Kim, do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, so it would be transferable within that occupation. So Joe, sorry, I don't know what your program is called, but for example, like if they go through an IT help desk apprenticeship program, doesn't matter what employer they completed it through, they would be able to take that to any other employer and transfer that. So it's based on the occupation level, not the employer.
Great. I know in some cases we've seen different titles within different community college, regions for sort of the same training. Would that be a difficulty then in transferring credits if you received maybe a degree? And I'm not going to be very good at giving you a title of a degree, but you mentioned electromechanical. What if a different college called that same training by a different name? Would that create difficulty in transferring credits?
So for you as an employer, it may appear difficult because you're not going to understand how some of that stuff transfers in, but work with your community college and they'll help make the process seamless. I mean, we work well together and we know what types of classes are the same, even if we don't call them exactly the same thing. At the end of the day, we look at our class outcomes or learning objectives, and that's how we decide if two classes are equal, even if they have a different name. So work with your community colleges, or even, a lot of our community college classes, they will even transfer into state colleges or private colleges, or, we all have agreements with other institutions to help make that transfer process seamless for someone. So it may seem daunting to you as an employer, but if you start asking the questions, it's not bad. We'll take care of it for you.
Great. Thank you. We've got another question, this one from Felicia, and Kim, I'm going to look to you to answer this one as well, maybe based on your history here. But the question is, what support is the Department of Labor offering to existing apprenticeships and apprentices?
Good question. So I know like at the United States Department of Labor level specifically, that individual, Jim Whiteman, he usually meets, I don't know if it's necessarily quarterly, it kind of varies, but he'll do check-ins with the employer partners usually, and just kind of see how things are going and see where he can assist. If you feel like you do need more assistance than you are getting, please reach out to the Nebraska Department of Labor rep. His name is Elliot Kane. Otherwise, at the U.S. Department of Labor rep is Jim Whiteman. So if, like I said, if you feel like you need more than what you are getting, please reach out. They will help you with whatever you need. The other thing that I will say is there are a lot of different groups out there that are always posting resources and how-tos to help everyone across the U.S. with building apprenticeship programs and maintaining them. Like Urban Institute, that's one that I know I always kind of reference. JFF is another one, and I'm sorry, I don't know what it stands for, but that's another one that's always putting resources out there. Of course, if you go to apprenticeship.gov, that's through United States Department of Labor. They have different resources. Nebraska Department of Labor, they also have resources. Even at the community college level, we have different resources that are out there and available. So sometimes all it takes is just Googling and you'll find answers to your questions, or certainly reach out if you still need more assistance. I think we're all in this together and we're all here to help if you need it.
That's great. Thank you. Joe, I'm going to send a question your way. So you work for an international company, and one thing that I've always heard throughout my career is that Germany just has the best apprenticeship, like workforce development program from youth into full-time employment. So you work for a German company. Working for this German international company, was there a lot of inside help inside your corporation to get you to be successful in this endeavor? Is there anything that you can share with Nebraska businesses that may not have that same resource available?
So, yeah, I mean, our CEO here, he went through an apprenticeship program even. So, I mean, from the ground level, I mean, that's always been, that was huge buy-in for us, just because, he understood the program, for example. So, yes, I mean, we essentially have that program there, and the challenge is, as time progressed and we started to hire our own employees here, I was really, finding good qualified candidates. That's always an issue. And, in Germany, they always can kind of pull from that pool. They have that advantage of, okay, well, who's next here? Who do we have? I mean, 10% of their workforce. So not all of them work out. I mean, that's definitely true. And that's been true to us as well. But, they're doing something, and, you're gonna find, more good than bad in the whole process. So, yeah, I mean, we did communicate with them quite a bit, especially in the initial phases of things. They have a dedicated trainer there who has years and years of experience. So yes, we did utilize them, but of course, you become more self-sufficient, just like we have over time. I mean, we've relied on our international partners there for several years, but as times progress, we become self-sufficient, so we can be fully operational here. That's essentially our goal long term. So we want to have a similar program, and that's essentially what we're doing.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. So the rest, I'm trying to kind of build the first step recipe then for anyone in the audience who isn't working for a German company or hasn't worked with apprenticeships in the past. And it sounds like, forming a relationship with ICAT, reaching out to your local community college are kind of the first couple steps. And then the other piece of the recipe that's important is the culture of acceptance that, maybe we're taking on something new that hasn't been done before, and we really have to lean in on maybe changing where our recruits come from or what they're like, what their background might be. Would you say that's kind of the fair first three ingredients to the recipe?
Yes. Yep, definitely. I mean, Metro, they have dealt with ICAT now for a while. So, you can also reach out to them first too. I mean, there's several options that we have here. Or, if there's anyone listening that's interested, I mean, feel free to send me an email. I can fill you in with some of the things. I mean, I'll be honest and say, it's not the cleanest process all the time. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I told you that. I mean, there's always curveballs thrown our way, and you just have to work through them. And so far it's been pretty successful.
That's great. Thank you. Looks like we don't have any questions, any further questions coming in on the chat. I'm going to look at my notes really quickly here to see what else I can try to stump you guys with. But I think this has just been remarkably helpful. I'm all about creating that, what's the action for our companies here to take their first step. We've got Julie raising their hand. Julie, I'm going to try to figure out if I can get you through here. Holly, can you help me out?
I can, 1 minute.
Thank you. All right, I think we've got Julie available. Julie, are you able to unmute yourself and jump in? Hello.
Hello, thank you, Mike. And I apologize. I thought I should be raising my hand, and I see I probably should have just sent the question through. So
this is great. You're live on set.
Following your directions here, but I did have a question related to the ARPA funding being available for industry certifications and not just registered apprenticeships. And I know India well, there can be some flexibility, but I'm wondering specifically about additional funds and if we can leverage those for experiences beyond registered. So thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Great question. This is going to be into the details of kind of the structure of the funding. So Kim, I'm going to put you on the spot here and see if you know the answer to Julie's question.
Yeah, so I did. I sat in on the webinar last week with the Nebraska Department of Labor, so I can share a little bit.
Great.
So yes, the way the funding is structured, there's lots of different opportunities of how you can apply those fundings. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be apprenticeship. It could be some other job training, upskilling, whatever you want to call it. There definitely are some requirements you have to meet, whether it's income level or being directly affected or impacted by the COVID pandemic. I know there's some other rules that I couldn't list them all off to you right off the top of my head, but I know if you go to the Nebraska Department of Labor website, they do have a site up that kind of shows some information about the program specifics that tell you exactly how the funds can be utilized and what qualifications you have to meet for the individuals that are partaking in the program. So short answer, yes, it can be more than just apprenticeships.
Wonderful, wonderful. Julie, if that didn't answer your question, hit us up. But that's super great. Joe, I'm going to ask you one last question before we close out here. And it's about, I just really want to stick on this point of, if I have no experience with apprenticeships, is there any other difficulty or hurdle that you think you can throw out there for our listeners to potentially just be aware of? Any other kind of hurdle or hang up that we haven't talked about yet today?
I think the main thing is just to, I think you need to be creative. I mean, it's not all a one size fits all type of situation. I mean, there's definitely a lot of resources out there. Each individual is different, even if you have the structure, it can all be there, but you have to also be creative in the process. I mean, you have people that don't pass classes, you have people that, are struggling, and you're trying to help them through those situations. So, I think the important thing is to be creative and to do something. I mean, I think that's really important. I mean, we can't just sit on our hands and not do anything. It's important that, I mean, we have a huge challenge. The unemployment is so low, and, we need to get started as soon as possible. And, the more people in the program, the merrier. That's kind of the way that we view it.
And I would just piggyback off of what Joe said. And, when you talk about each program is different, and it certainly is. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that even if you partner with a community college on a program that the community college has already developed, there is still some flexibility within that program that I can customize specifically to you as an individual. So if there's something listed in that program, I always use this example, and I really shouldn't, but I like it, so I use it. In our CNA one, when I was developing that initially, the template that I got from United States Department of Labor had something in there about on the job, they were going to practice how to apply hand splints. And I'm like, I don't think that a CNA would do that, at least at any of our facilities in the area. I don't know, maybe other places. So I'm like, no, we're taking that out. So we took that out. But as an example, if that still would have been in there and you as an employer, like, we don't do that here, that's fine. We just mark it as NA doesn't apply to you, and we move on. I can do that with roughly 20% of the program. The individual just needs to complete 80%. So do know that even if you look at our program and you're like, this isn't quite exactly what we need, let's talk, because there's still some customization that we can do within the program to make it work for your specific business. And if you want to add more above and beyond than what we have in our program, more power to you. It's just going to make it that much better of a program.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. We're running low on time, but I'm going to see if we can squeeze this last question in. And Kim, it may come back to you based on your attendance at the webinar last week. But Nebraska Department of Labor was allocated $10 million from ARPA to go through the Worker Training Board. Do you know, does this training board have guidelines for allocating the money? We talked a little bit about first come, first serve, right? But what other guidelines are out there that you're aware of?
Yeah, so it was 10 million, and I don't remember how they split up the funding, but there are, I believe, 3 categories of how they're using those funds. So one is just kind of a general worker training incentive. There's one around nurses, and I don't remember exactly how that program works, but there is one specifically for nursing. And the other one is, I believe, teachers and education driven. So that 10 million is not specific just to kind of what we're talking about today. There's just a portion of it that would go to this piece. Again, you can go to Department of Labor for more information. And I was thinking there was something else I was gonna say. Let me look at the question again to see if it jogs my memory of. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not recollecting the other thing that I thought of that I was gonna mention. But yes, not all the 10 million is allocated to this, just a portion of it.
Okay. Thank you. Great. Well, we're down to 5 minutes, so I just want to take a second here and ask you each. Joe, I'll start with you. With 30 seconds, what's the most important thing you want folks to know from this call today?
Yeah, there are a lot of options out there, and yeah, again, I think it's important that that you do something. I think it's definitely, we have the resources there. Don't be intimidated and continue moving forward and grow your workforce and, utilize those resources that are around you.
Thanks, Joe. Kim, same question to you. With 30 seconds, what's your one thing that you want attendees to take away from the call today?
Yeah, so I would say similar comments. Yeah, you're not in it alone. Please reach out. There are a lot of resources out there that are going to help you build this program, and we can't just wait. I think our worker shortage problem is, I hate to be doom and gloom, but it's only going to be worse. I saw a presentation not that long ago, and they were looking at the birth rates, and so I think the magic number was like 2030 or maybe 2033. I don't remember, somewhere in that realm, that based on the birth rates, that's when it was really going to hit us and it was really going to hurt. So now's the time to start investing in individuals that are maybe underemployed within your company, move them up and backfill those positions that you can. Now's the time so that we're prepared for when it really hurts.
That's an excellent point. I couldn't have said it any better myself, Kim. That's the perfect point to get after, that now's the time. Our workforce crunch is not going to get better anytime soon. We really have to engage now. And we're lucky that these funds have opened up to help lubricate that engagement. So Joe from Graepel, Kim from Northeast Community College, thank you so much for your time today and your insight. This presentation has been recorded. So if you ended up joining us late, and missed Joe's presentation, or want to send this along to any of your colleagues, we'll make this available to everyone. My name is Mike Johnson. I'm at the Nebraska Chamber COO, and I lead our Manufacturing Alliance. It's been my pleasure to host our panel of Kim and Joe today. And if you have any questions about apprenticeships, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. Thank you all very much for your time, and we'll let you go. Thank you.